The past few weeks has seen half answers from Alex Pereira, but on his first full media appearance since losing the championship, the Brazilian finally spoke with unmistakable intent. He explained that the brief hiatus was not an existential crisis, but a calculated reset. Long nights of physiotherapy for a lingering ankle sprain, 3 separate trips to a biomechanical lab in Sao Paulo, and an enforced digital blackout so he could remember why I fight, not who I fight. Friends insisted he shut out the noise. Sparring partners reported he would drill one combination, inside low kick, cross left hook, hundreds of times until sweat literally pooled on the mat beneath him like melted wax. The belt, he said, is a symbol of the hours you spend alone when no one is watching. A line that landed like a warning shot at every contender who assumed the throne might sit vacant a little longer. His coach, Plinio Cruz, added color by recounting an infamous Wednesday session in which Pereira demanded 5 straight 5-minute rounds of pure wrestling against heavier middleweights, refusing water until each scrambler was beaten. When the champion closed with, "I'm coming to get my belt back," it felt less like bravado and more like a surgeon announcing he's scrubbed in and already holding the scalpel. Chris Moutinhos' UFC return reads like a modern fable of perseverance, told in blood and gauze rather than ink. After the memorable baptism by fire opposite Sean O'Malley, where fluorescent green hair and inexhaustible heart overshadowed technique, Moutinho disappeared into regional shows that stream in pixelated 720p to the die-hard few. There, he built a quiet 5-fight stoppage streak that doubled as therapy. Training out of a converted mill building in Milford, Massachusetts, he sparred against gloveless Krav Maga specialists on Mondays and hill sprinted with high school wrestlers on Thursdays, anything that would mimic the borderline chaos he'd tasted in Vegas. His bout journals reveal a man who began every entry with the phrase, "I'm still here," underlining it twice on the worst days, a mantra that morphed into the inked tattoo now arching over his sternum. Malcolm Wellmaker, the unbeaten destroyer awaiting him on 14th June, presents a further bite of irony. In their amateur days, Wellmaker had once asked Moutinho for a backstage selfie, gushing that Chris's LFA wars were why he chose bantamweight. The symmetry is sharp, idol meets admirer, except the stage lights are brighter and the cost of losing infinitely steeper this time around. Ian Garry's surgically precise callouts have never shied from provocation, yet telling Leon Edwards to retire cut particularly deep because it came framed as counsel rather than insult. Garry cited the dread of a former champion who flinches at shadows of his own past, referencing Edwards' split camp routine that sees him juggle altitude training in Colorado with family obligations in Birmingham. Analysts might scoff, but there is data. Edwards' punch volume dipped 18% between the title loss to Balal Muhammad and the submission defeat to Sean Brady, and his takedown defense, once impenetrable, showed daylight twice in the opening minute against Brady. Garry, speaking from the red brick balcony of his Florida condo, likened Leon's current motivation to a candle in a hurricane, beautiful in theory, tragic in practice. While critics label the Irishman cruel, teammates note he has trained alongside Edwards before and felt the reluctance firsthand, a sparring round where Leon disengaged after eating a jab instead of returning fire. Garry's suggestion, walk away with head high, tell Birmingham kids a story of what was, came laced with equal parts empathy and ambition, the sort of line designed to trend on social, but also to pry a legacy opponent out of retirement if the ego stings enough.
It's funny, people are saying, you just have a bunch of yes men around you. I'm like, if you watch round 1, 3, and 5 closely, no commentating, the number one criteria as a judge is to judge for damage. Motherfucker got a bloody nose and got his head snapped back in round 1. Is that not damage compared to getting taken down and fucking kneed in the thigh a few times? I'm gonna bring it up every other.
Sean O'Malley's reaction to Merab Dvalishvili's near doppelganger sparring partner played out like a late-night sketch, equal parts admiration and paranoid self-diagnosis. Watching the grainy clip, O'Malley sat on his podcast couch, pink braids piled under a gaming headset, and let the silence balloon before muttering, "That's literally me. He gets to fight me every week." The mimic's movements were uncanny, identical lead hand feints, the same pogo rhythm borrowed from prime Dominic Cruz, even the telltale hip shimmy before launching the question mark kick. For a fighter whose brand is rooted in aesthetic uniqueness, seeing a mirror image felt unsettling. Training partner Tim Welch tried to lighten the mood, joking that at least the simulation burns calories without collecting fight night checks. But O'Malley's eyes narrowed. If Merab's camp had solved his timing algorithm in a Georgian basement, what adjustments could he make before Saturday? He ended the segment by chuckling, yet the laugh came late and flat, betraying a corner of genuine worry. In a sport where psychological edges matter as much as liver shots, The clip had done its job, introducing the possibility that O'Malley's most elusive weapon, unpredictability, might already be reverse engineered.
O'Malley, tell me what that was like.
I have a good time in jacuzzi with Sean O'Malley. Hopefully I'm gonna win again and we're gonna spend more good time in jacuzzi. It's gonna be even more sweet.
Dustin Poirier chose symbolism over shock value in revealing the last dance mouthpiece that will guard his teeth, figuratively, his fighting spirit, for what he calls his final walk. Unlike the neon fangs popularized by younger strikers, this guard is matte white, with the message stenciled in blue cursive so understated that cameras need a slow zoom to catch it. The phrase nods to Michael Jordan's farewell championship run, yet Poirier's version feels intimate. He explained the words came to him during a solo dawn jog along the Mississippi levee, where mist made lampposts look like ghostly spectators. Each letter, he said, represents a sacrifice. First amateur concussion, first canceled Christmas, the moment his daughter asked why he missed her recital. In camp, he has taped an identical sticker to every heavy bag so that when combinations land, he registers the reminder of finality. Facing Max Holloway for the BMF belt adds narrative symmetry. The Hawaiian served as foil in Poirier's UFC debut and again for interim gold. This trilogy closer writes itself. When Dustin speaks of rivals, he names only yesterday's version of himself, a philosophical note that belies how fiercely he still buries hooks into leather pads. Retirement, then, is not an exit so much as a metamorphosis, etched onto a 2-inch strip of dental plastic.
Dustin, when you left the arena last time after fighting Justin, did part of you think, I'm going to have to fight this guy again? That fight was too good and the fans are going to want to see it?
No, it didn't. I actually sat next to Justin at one of the pay-per-views in Vegas, and we were, talking, chopping it up, and I told him, I was like, dude, I don't want to do that again.
Robert Whittaker's soft-spoken assessments often carry more predictive weight than bombastic punditry, and his conversation about Merab Dvalishvili offered subtle but telling insight. Whereas the Georgian is usually filmed bouncing in hallways, regaling camera crews with improvised dance moves, Whittaker noticed a subdued demeanor during a private phone call. No jokes about cold swims, no impromptu push-ups, just measured breathing and a single promise: I will finish him. Whittaker contextualized this shift by revisiting their first fight, where Merab allowed theatrics, arms splayed, chin exposed, to invite unnecessary risk. The Australian framed that as a lesson absorbed, citing the way elite competitors often need one brush with hubris to recalibrate priorities. To illustrate, he recalled his own midpoint between Adesanya losses, when a period of monastic focus in Rotorua, New Zealand, rebuilt his identity. Observers might downplay psychology, yet fight metric analysts confirm that Merab's strike selection in later bouts became ruthlessly efficient, ditching spinning attacks for chain wrestling designed to drown opponents in cage pressure. Whittaker's forecast of a finish therefore flows less from hype and more from patterns. A historically frenetic athlete who is now aligned in tension with optimal strategy can be terrifying, especially opposite someone like O'Malley, whose defensive clinch work remains unproven at championship tempo.
I'm not planning past Costa. But I can say that I think Pereira is a better matchup for me than Israel, just because of the way he stands and the way he likes to push forward, the way he likes to fight. I feel gives me a better edge. But in saying that,
Balal Muhammad's rebuttal to Kevin Holland illustrated how social platforms have become modern front lines where reputations are salvaged or sunk in 280 characters. Holland's original dig, that Homer Simpson work rate is entertaining but ultimately limited, stung because it riffed on a kernel of truth. Balal wins by relentless grit over highlight reel flair. Yet Muhammad's clapback, it's always the ones that'll never touch gold that have the most to say, landed with napalm precisely because the welterweight rankings underscore his point. Holland's record oscillates like a cardiogram, big wins punctured by baffling lapses, while Balal's own run, albeit less viral, stacked enough victories to earn, however briefly, the belt. Behind the screens, camp insiders reveal a man who catalogs each slight in a physical notebook labeled receipts, right next to game plan diagrams. Cardiologist-level conditioning remains his calling card. Altitude masks during stair sprints, underwater treadmill rounds, a near-religious refusal of refined sugar. Coaches argue this endurance allows him to weaponize pace against flashier strikers who fade under volume. Whether Holland ever shares the octagon with him is uncertain, but the exchange reinforced a broader reality. Championships come and go, yet the scoreboard of pride points updates daily on Twitter's cruel ticker, and Balal is determined never to trail.
Set up a fight against a former champion in Balal Muhammad?
No, not at all. I just Whoever they give me next, that's what I'm going to take. I ain't got no names listed out. If it's Balal, it's Balal, but I doubt it's Balal. He's won a lot of fights recently. He's only coming off one loss. So I put on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, one of those things, I'm looking for the worst 170 guy that there is. So I'm looking more like Kobe Covington after this one.
Juliana Pena's simmering frustration at being an afterthought surfaces in every interview now, a slow-rolling boil fed by odds that peg her a 5-1 underdog against Kayla Harrison. She recounts labor stories in the same breath as title wins, emphasizing the calculus of pain that only mothers know, 26 hours of contractions, then a C-section scar that stretched whenever she threw a right cross during her comeback camp. The fact that she dethroned an opponent unbeaten in 7 years should read like a Marvel origin vignette, but Pena claims accolades evaporated the moment she labeled herself Mom Champ. She now wonders aloud whether fans subconsciously discount postpartum achievements, perhaps unsettled by the juxtaposition of parental tenderness and cage violence. In response, she proposes a belt for baddest effing mother, reversing the familiar acronym as commentary on narratives that favor machismo while sidelining maternal resilience. In camp, that chip on her shoulder translates to merciless Shark Tank rounds, where fresh featherweights enter every minute until her lungs sear. Coaches say she exits each scramble muttering odds numbers, as if rewriting them by force. Win or lose, Pena's demand for respect brings uncomfortable questions. What qualifies as toughness in a sport that markets it yet overlooks forms that don't fit the archetype?
She definitely hasn't gotten under my skin. I got thick skin. It takes a little more than a chihuahua barking to get under my skin, but...
Even your chihuahua doesn't like you, Kayla. Even your own dang dog doesn't even like you.
The time for talking is almost over, and Saturday night we're gonna find out.
What do you know? What do you say? Kayla, how are you going to beat me like I asked you the last time?
Paddy Pimblett's latest training footage with Tom Aspinall paints a vivid snapshot of camaraderie across weight divisions. The clip begins with Aspinall, a heavyweight whose shoulders eclipse the camera frame, lightly pawing jabs so Paddy can practice reactive level changes. Laughter echoes when a timing miscue ends with Paddy dangling from Tom's back like a kid sister, legs kicking, before both reset to seriousness. Physiologically, the partnership seems odd, but coaches argue Aspinall's rangy stance mirrors certain lightweight threats, providing Pimblett unique spatial reads. Mid-round, the camera shifts to Paddy's corner, where a phone lights up with Ilia Topuria's interview playing at half volume. The reigning champion speaks calmly, eyes hard as flint, saying he'll be cage-side on 28th June, and that whether the next challenger is Paddy or Arman Tsarukyan, the result for everyone will be the same. I'm going to win. The comment slices through the gym chatter. Paddy hears it, nods once, then dives back into drilling. Those who know him say such moments feed his swagger. The Scouser's grin widens under pressure like a cat salivating at the rustle of a mouse. Yet beneath theatrics, there's a technical seriousness, a new emphasis on angled exits, a judo foot sweep perfected during private sessions with Olympic bronze medalist Gemma Gibbons. If Pimblett does earn that title shot, the seeds of readiness are being sown under the watchful eye of Liverpool's heaviest king.
What a great finish. Well done, mate. Lovely. Congratulations, mate. That's awesome stuff. Do you want a piece? What is it? Pizza? Yeah. Pep on the front. Hi, man. Thank you very much.
Sweet, we're just gonna get your food.
News of Greg Hardy's arrest arrived like a thunderclap, reverberating far beyond MMA columns into mainstream crime blotters. The charge, assault causing bodily injury to a family member, carries grim echoes of past allegations that once jeopardized his NFL career. This time the booking photo shows a man whose trademark bravado has drained into weary defiance, lips pressed tight, eyes red-rimmed. Details remain sparse. Police statements cite an incident at a Texas residence, but eyewitness accounts have yet to emerge. Within hours, the online jury convened. Some recalled his previous no-contest plea for domestic violence, framing the latest accusation as pattern rather than anomaly. Others stressed due process, wary of rushing to condemn. UFC contacts quietly confirmed no current promotional ties, yet his lingering presence as an ex-fighter invites broader debate about redemption arcs in combat sports. Social media managers for several organizations swiftly scrubbed highlight reels featuring Hardy's knockouts, a digital distancing that speaks volumes. The timing, ironically, collided with campaigns touting fighter conduct codes, spotlighting the tension between profit and principle. As Hardy awaits a judge, sponsors vanish and gyms debate whether to sever coaching relationships. The saga underscores an uncomfortable truth. Athletic prowess can open doors, but it cannot forever mute the consequences of personal choices made once the cage door is locked behind you.